I moved into the house for peace. That's all I wanted. After years of city noise, traffic, and neighbors yelling through the walls, I just needed quiet. A small, old house on the edge of a sleepy town felt perfect. It was cheap too, which should have been my first warning. But I didn't care. I was tired. I wanted space, silence, and a backyard to drink coffee in. The first few days were calm. I unpacked slow, took walks through the woods behind the house, and started cleaning up the yard. Weeds had taken over everything. Vines climbed the side of the house like they were trying to pull it underground. The grass was tall, and something about the way it bent in the wind felt off. But I didn't think much of it. I just kept telling myself it was nothing. Just old house vibes. The backyard had a small garden bed, hidden under overgrowth. I decided I'd fix it up, plant some tomatoes maybe. I spent hours pulling weeds, breaking up the dry soil, clearing dead roots. It was tiring but peaceful. For a moment, I felt normal again. Then I found it. I remember the sound. My shovel hit something hard with a sharp clink. At first, I thought it was just a rock. I crouched down, brushing the dirt away with my hand. It was white, smooth. Well, at first, I thought maybe it was part of an animal. This area had raccoons, maybe stray dogs. But when I picked it up, my stomach dropped. It was a tooth. Not an animal tooth. Human. I just stood there, holding it, not knowing what to do. My hands started to shake. Something deep inside me told me to stop digging, cover it up, and pretend I never saw it. But I didn't. I put it in my pocket. I told myself I'd show someone later. I didn't want to look crazy, rushing into town with a single dirty tooth. That night, I kept hearing things. Creaks, shifts in the wood. Old house sounds, I told myself. But it didn't feel like the house settling. It felt like footsteps. I didn't sleep much. The next morning, I went back out with my shovel. I needed to know if that tooth was alone. I needed to know what was buried in my new backyard. I didn't know I was waking something up, and I had no idea what else was under the dirt. I went back to the garden right after sunrise. I hadn't slept. Every creak and whisper in the night kept me on edge. I told myself I was being paranoid, but my gut said otherwise. That tooth, there was something wrong about it. The way it looked, too clean. Like it hadn't been in the ground long. But this house had been empty for years. I stood over the spot where I'd found it, shovel in hand, heart pounding. The dirt still looked disturbed, like it remembered being opened. I started digging again, slower this time, careful with every scoop. A few inches down, I hit something else. Not a rock. Not a root. Something smooth and curved. I got on my knees and brushed it gently. It was another bone. Bigger than the tooth. Longer. I didn't want to believe it was a finger, but it looked like one. Then I saw more. Pieces of something. White, broken, scattered like a puzzle I didn't want to solve. I kept going, deeper into the earth. The smell started to change. The dirt felt heavier. Wet, like it had soaked up something that never fully dried. Then I found hair. Strands of it, tangled in roots, sticking to my gloves. That's when I froze. My body stopped moving. Everything in me screamed to run, but I couldn't. I was locked in place, staring at the earth, waiting for it to move on its own. Suddenly, I heard it again. Knocking. Not from above. Not from the trees. From beneath me. 3 slow knocks. Faint but clear. From under the dirt. I jumped back, dropped the shovel, scrambled to my feet. I didn't want to believe what I heard. I told myself it was in my head. Maybe an animal. Maybe my heartbeat echoing in my ears. But no, it was real. Because it happened again. 3 knocks. I backed away slowly, eyes still on the hole. The garden I wanted to fix now looked like a grave. I didn't know what was buried there, but it wasn't resting. And somehow, I knew this was just the beginning. I didn't go outside the rest of the day. I closed the curtains, locked every door, sat in the middle of the living room with my back against the wall, holding my phone like it could protect me. But I didn't call anyone. Who would I even call? Hi, I dug up a human tooth in my yard and now something's knocking from under the ground. They'd think I was insane. The light in the house felt colder now. The shadows darker. Even during the day, it felt like something was watching me. Like I had disturbed something that didn't want to be disturbed. I kept replaying the knocks in my head. Slow, deliberate. Not the kind of sound a pipe makes. Not the sound of nature. Something with a rhythm. A message. I decided I needed to go back to the hole. I had to cover it up, at least. Pretend none of it happened. Maybe if I filled it in, the knocking would stop. When I stepped into the backyard again, the air felt wrong. So, like the world was holding its breath. The hole looked deeper than I remembered. I know that sounds crazy, I didn't dig that far down. But now, it looked like something had pulled the soil from within. I bent over to look, and I swear, I saw something move. It was fast. A flicker, like a hand slipping just beneath the dirt. But it was enough. I dropped the shovel and ran back into the house without looking back. That night, the knocking came again. Not from the garden. From under the house. I sat in bed, frozen, listening. 3 knocks. Then silence. Then 3 more. I couldn't breathe. I didn't move. I just stared at the floor, listening, counting the seconds in between. Then my phone buzzed. It was a message. No name. No number. Just one sentence. You found me. I dropped the phone. I didn't touch it again until morning. And I knew then whatever was buried wasn't just bones. It was awake. I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to move. Every part of me felt like I was being pulled toward that backyard, like whatever I'd uncovered had wrapped invisible strings around me. But I forced myself to leave the house. I needed to feel normal. See people. Hear city noise. Anything that didn't sound like knocks under the floor. But even on the bus, even with strangers around me, I couldn't escape the feeling that something was following me. Not physically, but like a presence just behind my thoughts. Whispering at the edge of my hearing. All day, I kept checking my phone. That message haunted me. You found me. I didn't reply. I couldn't. It came from nothing. No contact, no ID, no source. I even asked the guy in IT at work if it was some kind of prank or virus. He looked at me like I was being paranoid. Maybe I was. But that night it got worse. Around 2:30 a.m., I heard movement in the walls. Not rats, not creaks. Dragging. Slow. Like someone crawling through the space behind the drywall. I pressed my ear to the wall, heart racing. And I swear, I heard breathing. I didn't sleep. At 3:33 a.m., my phone buzzed again. A call. No number. I stared at the screen for so long it stopped ringing. Then it rang again. Same time. Same silence. I answered. Nothing. Just static. And then, a voice. Broken. He buried me. I hung up, threw the phone across the room. But the call didn't end. The speaker stayed on. The voice came back. You left me down there. You forgot. I yanked the battery out. Sat in the dark. Shaking. I don't even remember falling asleep. But I woke up with dirt on my hands. And the sound of knocking still echoing inside my head. I didn't leave the house the next day. I couldn't. Something was changing. In me. Around me. The walls felt thinner, like the house wasn't just mine anymore. Like something else was here, claiming space. I stood in front of the back door for a long time. The shovel was still lying where I dropped it. The hole still open, wider now. Like it had grown overnight. Or like something had been digging upward. I wanted to fill it in. Really I did. but I couldn't move. My feet stayed planted. My hand shook when I reached for the doorknob. That's when I heard the knock again, not under the house this time. It was inside. 3 slow knocks, coming from the hallway closet. I turned around so fast I nearly fell. The closet door was closed, but I could hear it, soft breathing. Too real to ignore. Too steady to be imagination. I grabbed the closest thing I could, a broom, and stepped forward. I opened the closet door fast, ready for anything. There was nothing inside. Just coats. Silence. I almost laughed. Almost. Until I looked down. On the wooden floor of the closet, scratched deep into the boards, were 3 words. Dig deeper now. I stepped back and slammed the door shut. But something else caught my eye. Tiny streaks of red. Barely there. On the walls. Faint fingerprints. Dragged down like someone, or something, had been trying to crawl out. I checked every room. Every window. Nothing broken, no sign of entry. But I knew what I saw. And when I checked my phone again, 3:33 a.m. sharp, another message was waiting. You stopped digging. And under that, a photo of me, standing in my yard, holding the shovel. But I hadn't taken it. And I wasn't alone in the photo. There was someone behind me, face pale, eyes dark, mouth open wide, and smiling. I couldn't breathe. I dropped the phone, but the image was still burned into my eyes. That thing, that person, standing behind me in the photo. I didn't feel them there when it happened. I didn't hear anything. But now I couldn't unsee it. The smile was too wide. The eyes weren't just dark, they were empty. Like someone had scooped the soul out. I grabbed the phone again, hands shaking. I checked the camera roll. The photo was not there. I checked my messages. It had disappeared. But I knew I saw it. I decided I needed to end this. I went to the backyard. I didn't even hesitate. The sky was dark, but I didn't care anymore. I turned on the floodlight. I picked up the shovel. And I started digging. I dug until my hands bled. Deeper and deeper. The dirt got heavier. Wetter. Like something down there didn't want to be disturbed. Every time I stopped to catch my breath, I heard it. Breathing. Not mine. Like someone was just beneath the surface, waiting. Then I hit something solid. Not wood. Not rock. Metal. I dropped to my knees and brushed the dirt away. It was a small metal box. Rusted. Chained shut. I hesitated, but the chains weren't locked. Just wrapped. Almost like they were meant to contain something. I opened it. Inside were teeth. Dozens of them. All adult. Some cracked. Some stained. All human. And underneath them, folded neatly, was a child's drawing. Crayon on yellow paper. A house. A yard. A big red X in the middle. And a stick figure. With a shovel. Just like me. Except this one had no face. Suddenly, I heard something behind me. I turned fast, expecting to see someone standing there. But it was just the house. Silent. Watching. But I swear, one of the upstairs windows had just closed. By itself. And I wasn't the one who left it open. I stood there, frozen, staring at that window. I knew it had been open earlier. I hadn't touched it. I hadn't been upstairs all day. I didn't want to go back inside. Every part of me screamed to run, to leave everything behind. But something stronger pulled me forward. Not curiosity, not even fear. It was like I was being drawn. I picked up the metal box. I should have thrown it away, burned it. But instead, I took it with me and walked back inside. Each step felt heavier than the last. When I reached the top of the stairs, I stopped. The hallway was dark, colder than before. And at the end, that window, the one I saw close on its own, was now open again. The curtains fluttered softly, like they were waving me closer. I wanted to turn around. but my feet kept moving. That's when I noticed the pictures on the wall. I never really paid attention to them before. They came with the house, old black and white photos in dusty wooden frames. But now, one of them was different. It used to show a family. A man, woman, and child standing in front of the house. Now, the man was gone. Just erased. The woman's smile faded too. The child's eyes were scribbled over with black ink. I stepped closer, and the photo changed again, right in front of me. The child was now holding something. A shovel. I looked back down at the metal box in my hand. Then I heard footsteps upstairs. Slow, heavy, coming from the attic. I didn't move. I couldn't. And then, the attic door creaked open. Just a little. Enough to let out a whisper. Not loud. Just enough for me to hear one word. Closer. I backed away. But as I did, I noticed something at my feet. Another crayon drawing. This time slid under the door from the attic above. I picked it up with shaking hands. It showed me again, sleeping in my bed, and someone standing over me, holding the shovel, their face still missing, but their hands were mine. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the couch, holding the drawing, watching the hallway, watching the attic door. It stayed shut, but I couldn't take my eyes off it. Every sound felt louder. The ticking of the clock, the creak of the floorboards. Even my own breathing seemed like it didn't belong. At 3:33 a.m., my phone lit up. No ringtone, just a name on the screen. Unknown. I let it ring, but it didn't stop. I picked it up, finally, just to make it go away. I didn't say anything. Neither did the voice on the other end. Not at first. But then, I heard it. That same whisper again. You're the 13th. I froze. My mouth felt dry. Who are you? I asked. Silence. Then, I was here before you. I almost dropped the phone. What do you want? You already know. The call cut off. I looked around the living room. Everything felt wrong. Like the walls were bending, leaning in, watching. I grabbed the box of teeth and the drawings, stuffed them in my backpack. I needed help. I needed proof I wasn't imagining this. I opened the front door. There was a man standing there. Older. Dressed in work clothes, holding a flashlight. He looked surprised to see me, then confused. You live here now? He asked. I nodded slowly. Yeah, since last week. He swallowed hard. I'm the one who buried it. That's when I noticed the mud on his boots. Fresh. What did you bury? I asked. He looked past me into the house. You shouldn't have dug it up. Before I could say anything else, he turned and walked away. Down the street. Disappearing into the dark. I called after him, but he didn't turn around. I looked back inside and saw someone standing at the top of the stairs. Not moving, just watching. And in their hand, they held the same drawing I had put in my backpack. Only now, my face was scratched out. I slammed the door shut, locked it, chained it, even pushed a chair up against the handle like that would actually stop whatever that was. But it was gone. When I looked again, nothing. The top of the stairs was empty. Still, my hands were shaking. My heart wouldn't slow down. I had no idea what I was up against, but I knew this thing, this presence, it wasn't just haunting the house. It was haunting me. I turned back toward the living room and froze. The back bed, the one where I had stuffed the teeth, the drawings, everything, it was wide open and empty. I didn't hear anyone come in. The door hadn't moved. Nothing was broken. Yet everything inside was gone. I started tearing the room apart, lifting couch cushions, pulling open drawers, looking behind furniture. And then I found it. Another crayon drawing. It was tucked under the television remote, just waiting. This one was different. It showed the backyard, My backyard. And a hole. Bigger than before. With something inside it. Something watching me from underground. Its hand was sticking out, reaching toward a figure kneeling beside the hole. That figure was me. Digging. Smiling. There was something scrawled at the top of the page in shaky letters. Bring it back. I stumbled outside. My flashlight barely worked. The wind was louder than usual, like it was trying to say something I couldn't quite hear. And then I saw the dirt. The hole I had filled just days ago. It was open again, but deeper this time. Wider. And at the bottom, there was something glinting. Metal. The same metal box. Sitting right where I found it the first time. Like I had never touched it. But I had. So why was it back in the ground? And what was that noise? That soft tapping, coming from underneath it. I couldn't breathe. The box was back in the ground, like time had rewound itself. But I knew I wasn't imagining things. I remembered digging it up, holding it. The teeth, the drawings, the voice on the phone. Now it was buried again, and something was knocking from under it. 3 slow taps. Then silence. Then 3 more. I don't know what made me do it, but I stepped into the hole. Kneeling in the cold dirt, I reached out and brushed soil off the top of the box. It felt warm. That made no sense. It should have been freezing. I grabbed it with both hands, heart pounding, and pulled it out again. The knocking stopped the moment I touched it. I didn't open it this time. I just held it, staring at it like it might open on its own. Behind me, I heard a whisper. Leave it. I turned so fast I nearly dropped the box. No one there. Just the night. The wind. The trees. But the voice had been real. Close. Inside my head, or right behind it. I didn't wait around. I ran back inside, slamming the door and locking it all over again. I placed the box on the kitchen table, backing away like it might explode. My phone buzzed. No ringtone. Just a message. No number. Only the words. You took what's ours. I stared at it, hands trembling. Then a second message. We are coming. The lights flickered, and upstairs, I heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate, coming down. 1 step at a time. I didn't move. The footsteps kept coming, each one louder than the last. Whoever, or whatever, was upstairs was walking like they knew I could hear them. Like they wanted me to. I backed away from the stairs, step by step, trying not to make a sound. My phone was still in my hand, screen dim, messages still glowing. We are coming. I held my breath as the steps reached the bottom. Silence. Then, nothing. No one came around the corner. No shadow. No shape. Just silence again. Until I heard the front door slowly creak open behind me. I spun around, nothing there. The door was shut. Still chained. But I heard it. I swear I heard it. And then the kitchen lights blew out with a loud pop. The box on the table shifted. Just slightly. Like something inside was moving. I couldn't take it anymore. I ran outside. No jacket. No shoes. Just pure panic. I stood in the yard, looking back at the house. My breath visible in the cold. Every light inside was now off. Except one. The attic window. A pale, flickering light. And a figure. Standing. Still, watching me. I felt frozen. My legs wouldn't move. My thoughts were screaming, but my body stayed completely still. Then I blinked, and the light in the attic went out. Gone. Like it had never been there. Until the front door slowly began to open. By itself. I didn't want to go back in. Every part of me said run. Just turn around and never look back. But my phone was still inside. The box was still inside. And more than that, I felt like if I left now, it wouldn't matter. Whatever this thing was, it would follow me. So I stepped back toward the door. It was open just a crack now. wide enough to see inside. Completely dark. I pushed it slowly. The hinges squeaked like they were trying to warn me. The house felt colder than outside, like I had stepped into a freezer. My breath came out in white clouds, and the air smelled like old earth. What? Rotten. I tiptoed inside. The box was still on the table, but it was open. Empty. I hadn't opened it. I didn't want to open it, but now it was. My eyes scanned the kitchen. The chairs were pushed out like someone had left in a hurry. The knife drawer was open, and then I noticed something on the walls. Scratches. Not written words, just marks. Claw marks. Like something had been trying to get out or get in. I took a slow step toward the living room and stopped. There were footprints. What? Coming from the basement door, which was now wide open. I had never opened the basement, and I hadn't even been down there yet. But now, something was inviting me in, or maybe daring me. Either way, the footprints were waiting. I stood at the top of the basement stairs, staring down into darkness. The footprints led all the way down, faint and wet, like someone had walked through mud or blood. I couldn't tell anymore. The air drifting up was colder than ever, heavy, like it carried weight. I didn't want to go down there. Every instinct screamed at me to close the door and never open it again. But I had to know. I turned on my phone's flashlight and slowly started to descend. Each step creaked like it hadn't been touched in years. The kind of sound that makes your skin crawl. When I reached the bottom, I nearly dropped the light. There were more scratch marks on the walls. Deep ones. Some of them had dried blood around the edges. And on the far side of the basement, a door. I didn't remember there being another door. But there was. Metal. Rusted. Bolted shut from the outside. As if something was locked in, not out. That's when I heard it. Knocking. From the other side. Slow. Measured. And then a voice. You shouldn't have taken it. I froze. The voice wasn't loud. It was like a whisper coming through the cracks in the wall. You shouldn't be here. I backed away, but the door rattled hard like something inside wanted out. My flashlight flickered, and then the knocking started again. But not just from the door. From the ceiling above me. From the walls. From behind me. It was surrounding me. And something behind that locked door whispered, almost kind, almost smiling. 13th. You said, ChatGPT said. I ran up the basement stairs 2 at a time, heart hammering so loud I could barely hear anything else. But the knocking didn't stop. It followed me, up the walls, through the vents. Like the house was alive now, and I was inside it. I slammed the basement door shut and locked it. But deep down, I knew it didn't matter anymore. Whatever I had disturbed, it was already loose. I turned the corner into the hallway and stopped. There was writing on the wall. Words this time, not scratches. Written in something dark. 10 and 13. You let it out. I couldn't breathe. My hands were shaking. I tried to wipe it off, but it smeared across my fingers like old paint or dried blood. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. No name. No contact picture. Just a message. You're next. I dropped it. I backed away until I hit the wall behind me. And then I saw the apartment door wide open again. But not to the hallway. It led to somewhere else. It wasn't outside. It was like the whole building had shifted. That door now opened into pure darkness. Not night. Not shadows. Something deeper. Like a hole carved in reality. I could hear something moving in there. Crawling. What? Slow. And I realized this is what the others saw. The ones who came before me. The other 12. They all ended here. And now it was my turn. I didn't want to go through that door. Every part of me said run. Scream. Call someone. Anyone. But where would I run to? Who would believe me? Who could help? I stood there, frozen. staring into that black space like it might blink back at me. Then a sound. A low voice. Gentle. Like someone calling a child in from the cold. Come home, tenant 13. The air in the room shifted. Warmer now. Sweeter. Like rot wrapped in honey. I backed away slowly toward the kitchen, trying not to make a sound. And then the lights flickered. The hallway was no longer behind me. It had turned into another hallway. Same peeling wallpaper, but stretched, warped. Like the building had rewritten itself. My apartment was gone. Only one path forward. Into the dark. The knocking started again. This time from inside the walls. Soft footsteps followed behind me, even though I hadn't moved. And then I heard breathing just over my shoulder. Not mine. Not human. Slow. Waiting. I turned around. Nothing. But in the wall ahead of me, something opened. Like a mouth. A slit in the wood. And inside it I saw faces. Frozen. Mouths open wide in silent screams. 12 of them. I counted. And then, the 13th face looked like me. But it blinked. And smiled. I stumbled backward, whispering, "No. No, I'm not staying here." And the walls whispered back. "You already did." The building doesn't let go. Not when it chooses you. I don't know how long I've been here now. Days? Weeks? Time doesn't work the same anymore. Sometimes it's night for hours. Sometimes I blink and it's morning. But I never see the sun. Only gray light that seeps through the broken blinds. My phone doesn't work. My calls don't go out. But I get messages from numbers I don't know. Sometimes they just say, "Still here. Don't fight it. You're part of it now." I tried leaving again last night. The front door just opened to my old bedroom. Then the hallway. Then the basement. It loops. Over and over. The apartment wants me to stay. Wants me to forget who I was before. I don't sleep much anymore. When I close my eyes, I hear them, the others. Their whispers crawl into my ears. They tell me stories I don't remember living. Faces I don't remember knowing. And sometimes, when I look in the mirror, the reflection blinks before I do. Maybe that's the truth. Maybe I'm not the 13th tenant anymore. Maybe I never was. Maybe I was always part of it. Or maybe the next tenant just moved in. And I'm the voice they'll start hearing when the knocking begins again. At exactly 3:13 a.m.